Hi, Alex. Thanks for joining us today. We are here with Alex Roth from the Hawaii Tourism Board. We're going to talk all about Hawaii, all the different islands, and about the wonderful things there is to do on your vacation there. So thank you, Alex, for joining me today. I'm glad to have you
Mahalo and
here.
aloha, Darby. Aloha, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in today. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and talk about the Hawaiian Islands. Wonderful place to go and visit. I actually was born and raised in Hawaii and now live in New York. So I just love talking about my home, and I'm happy to share it with you all today. So Darby, just feel free to, kind of keep this casual, but I do have a few things that I'd love to share with you all, just kind of briefly. Why Hawaii as a vacation destination, if you're not already itching to go, talking about some of the islands or all of the islands that you can visit, and helping you decide which island or island combination is going to be best for your vacation experience. And I want to wrap up by talking about our new program, Malama Hawaii, which talks all about taking care of and giving back to the destination.
Great.
So without further ado, here are some of the top reasons why you should pick Hawaii as your next vacation destination. And Darby, I'd be happy if you can share too some of your favorite aspects of Hawaii and why you think it's such a great destination for visitors overall. But some of this is so obvious, right? Hawaii's gorgeous natural environment. You've got natural beauty at every turn. It's so inviting. The wide open spaces. I know a lot of us have been practicing social distancing over the past couple years about.
Right.
And Hawaii has just so much room to explore and to enjoy across all of the islands. Certainly the nearly perfect year-round weather makes it a wonderful destination, especially during those cold winter months. Hawaii really only has about a 15-degree temperature variation throughout the year. So it really doesn't get much colder than 68 degrees unless you're on the top of a mountain, and doesn't get much hotter than 88 degrees even in the summer too. Now we've also have that welcoming spirit of aloha. It's really such a wonderful thing about Hawaii, just that genuine compassion that you feel from the people. And aloha means so much more than a greeting to us in Hawaii. It is truly a value system of generosity, of caring for one another as if they're part of your family. And that's truly how we like to welcome our visitors to the islands. And then finally, Hawaii is, of course, a US state, so it is very easy and convenient to travel there. No passport required, no language barrier, no currency exchange, etc. But at the same time, it has that rich Pacific Island culture. So it almost feels like you're going to an international destination. So Darby, what are some of your favorite things about Hawaii and why you think your client should go there?
Well, thanks, Alex. I mean, Hawaii to me, it just encompasses so many different aspects of what you can enjoy in a vacation, from the natural, scenery to the historic and the cultural, and I think it fits almost any type of traveler, whether you're your first big vacation or if you're a seasoned traveler. Because as we're going to get into, Hawaii, all the islands have a different, feel. So going to them, you can kind of pick out which ones will fit if you want to be really active or if you want to just be relaxing, whether it's on the beach or at a luxurious resort. So it's just a wonderful place to be able to go, and, everyone can go. You don't, like I said, you don't need a passport. So it's great.
Absolutely. And to that point, we actually have a lot of repeat visitors as well to Hawaii because, as you said, each island has their own personality. There's so much to see and do, and you can have a different vacation experience each time you go. So it's a great destination to keep going to over and over.
Yes, I think so much to do is amazing.
Absolutely. And speaking of, we do have 6 unique islands that you can visit, and it really kind of offers 6 distinct destinations that you can choose from. And especially, coming from, say, like the East Coast, we do have visitors who tend to stay a bit longer, maybe 10 days, more than that. So during that time, you may want to actually visit more than just one island, and maybe do an island combination, 2 to maybe 3 islands. If you're really ambitious, you can do more. But I would definitely recommend keeping it to maybe 2 to 3 islands so that you can really spend some time on each one and be able to relax and enjoy. And of course, as I mentioned, you can definitely come back to Hawaii time and time again. So by the end of today, hopefully you'll have a better understanding of each of the islands and kind of pick out which ones you want to go to.
Definitely.
And once you're there, of course, everyone has questions on where they should stay, what type of accommodations. Hawaii really offers a wide range of accommodations options, whether it is a big resort, maybe a luxury hotel, etc., or a boutique hotel. We have a number of great condominium options, as well as homes and villas too. So something for everyone, whether you're just traveling alone or as a couple, or maybe a family and maybe a multi-generational family. We've got all sorts of great experiences for you. And that's certainly where a travel advisor like Darby can kind of set you up with the perfect accommodations options for you.
Definitely.
And I want to mention that Hawaii, the only type of accommodations Hawaii does not carry are all-inclusive hotels and resorts. And Darby, maybe you can speak to this as well, but I find that with a lot of all-inclusives, people tend to stay on the resort property, right? And with Hawaii, it is much more of a destination-focused experience. We encourage you to get off the hotel and resort property and really experience the local cuisine, the local attractions and activities. But at the same time, I understand cost is something that we want to keep in mind. And so there are a lot of great options to have some things included, like breakfast packages, for instance, or you might want to stay in like a condo or a villa with a kitchen to help offset some meal costs. And if you truly just love that all-inclusive feel, we do have island cruising. That's probably the closest option to the all-inclusives as well.
I mean, I think, there's a certain clientele that wants to go to an all-inclusive. They kind of want to stay in one spot, but Hawaii is really about venturing off into the local small towns and, destinations and experiencing the people and the cuisine. So I even say, if you want, just save a little bit of money, and you can eat your breakfast and your lunch in the condo, things like that. But you definitely want to get out to experience all the wonderful restaurants that all of the islands have to offer.
Definitely. And Hawaii has such an amazing food culture as well. It is its own unique food culture. And we've got some really great affordable options as well. You can get some great plate lunches, for instance, which give you generous portions for a pretty affordable price. Go to the local farmers markets and pick up a bunch of fruits, things like that. So there's definitely ways of being able to eat on a budget and still experience the amazing cuisine that we have across the islands.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get into our mini tour of the islands and talk a little bit about the differentiating factors of each one. And throughout this, I want to go in order from northernmost and oldest of the islands, starting with Kauai, all the way down to the youngest and southernmost, the island of Hawaii. And Darby, if you've been to any of these islands or you sent your clients these islands, please feel free to chime in and share some things. So we're going to start with Kauai. Here's a beautiful shot of the Napali coast. So as I mentioned, each island has its own unique personality type, right? So as we're going through these islands, think about which of these keywords kind of jump out at you, what you think you'd be the most interested in visiting. So with the island of Kauai, this island is very lush, idyllic, peaceful, serene. You're going to be immersed in nature here, and you've got endless shades of green. So it is one of the most beautiful islands, in my opinion. Everything is just so green and gorgeous. So if you are a nature lover and you want that peaceful, immersive environment, Kauai may be the perfect island for you. Like the pace of life on this island is a bit slower. So if you're, down to escape the busyness of life and have less interest in urban experiences or crowds, Kauai can be great for that, especially if you want to relax, rejuvenate, not feel pressured to see all the sights. And in terms of activities, we've got some top attractions I'd love to share. So first off is the Na Pali coast, and this is 17 miles of mountainous shoreline along the northern coast of Kauai. Really, the only way that you can just take in all of the beauty of this is by air or by boat. So that means either a helicopter excursion or perhaps a boat excursion to really take in the gorgeous sea cliffs. And I would recommend, especially if you're doing a boat tour, to do this maybe in the summer months because you can go snorkeling out there. During the summer, the waves are a little calmer on the North Shore. So it's a little bit easier, of a boat ride. You can maybe even get into those sea cliffs and do some snorkeling, perhaps, depending on your excursion. Have you sent any of your clients to do this, Darby?
Yeah, clients love the helicopter tours, and the boat tours. And kind of depending on which part of Kauai they stay on can, depend on how, what they'll see in the Napali coast. But, it's amazing place to go to.
Yes, absolutely. Another top attraction on the island is Waimea Canyon. And this has been nicknamed the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. It's really kind of this tropical canyon in a way. So beautiful with all the red dirt, but also a little bit of greenery as well. It's over 3,600 feet deep. And we do have a number of great lookout spots that you can actually just drive out to in your rental car. Parking at the lookout spots does charge an admission fee, but once you've paid for one, you've paid for them all, basically. We've got 4 lookout spots here, and it's really just an amazing way to just take in the expansive vistas here. And we also have some great hiking within Waimea Canyon and Köke'e State Park as well, which is kind of along the same drive as you're going through Waimea Canyon. Just go all the way up to the top and you'll reach this beautiful lookout spot. So this is essentially like you're looking at the Na Pali coast from the top of a mountain, and you'll find Kalalau Valley here. You've got some great hiking to do. So this is especially fun if you are, really looking to experience the nature out here and just take in all these gorgeous views.
It's amazing.
And over on the east side of the island, we have the Wailua River, which is actually the state of Hawaii's only navigable river. And this is a really great place to rent a kayak or maybe a stand-up paddleboard and just have a relaxing afternoon, kayaking along the river. You can also do boat tours here on the Wailua River out to Fern Grotto as well.
Nice.
And
something a little different than being on the beach. Something a little different than being on the beach,
Totally. It's like experiencing the interior beauty of the island of Kauai. And speaking of which, actually, 80% of Kauai is actually inaccessible by car. So if you really want to see that interior beauty of the island, I highly recommend booking a tour or excursion so you can really experience all the beauty, whether it be maybe an ATV tour, a helicopter tour, or a fun one would be mountain tubing. So this is actually where you just float in an inner tube along these irrigation channels that were created during the sugar plantation era, and really just take in, this really relaxing kind of ride. It's a very fun experience. Children as young as 5 can do it, so it's great for families. And as you can see, these guests here have a little flashlight on the top of their head, and this is for when you go into those caves. So it's a really neat experience, kind of like a very fun, like lazy river type of experience.
Yeah, it looks like it. How deep is that part of the rivers there?
I think it's only 4 feet tall. So if you fall off your inner tube, you can just stand back up again and find your tube and get back on.
Right.
All right. So that was the beautiful island of Kauai. And now we're going to move on to the island of Oahu. So here's a beautiful shot of Waikiki Beach and the gorgeous Diamond Head or Leahi in the background. And I just want to quickly clarify, I think a lot of people refer to the island of Oahu as Honolulu. And Honolulu is our capital city, which is within Oahu. And then within the city of Honolulu, we have Waikiki, which is our resort area. It's a district within the island of Oahu. All right, so Oahu is the island, Honolulu is the city, and then Waikiki is that resort area. And I also want to remind everyone that while we do have many of our hotels and resorts, in fact, half of our accommodations here in Waikiki, the island of Oahu truly has so much more to offer than just that resort area. So definitely get a chance to go and explore the entirety of the island.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And in terms of the words or brand personality that describes Oahu, think energy, vibrant, contemporary, iconic, a cosmopolitan town and country. So like I said, we've got that metropolitan city life of Waikiki and Honolulu, but we also have that laid back country ambiance in other parts of the island, like the North Shore as well.
Right.
So if you are an active traveler and if you are engaged and relaxed by having fun, this could be a great island for you, especially if you have a whole to-do list of activities that you want to check off throughout your trip, or if you love nature, shopping, dining, historic landmarks, nightlife, festivals. Oahu has it all. So this is going to be a great island for those active travelers.
Right. Really, someone could really experience a lot of every island on Oahu, because you can go up to the North Shore where it's quieter, or be in, Honolulu where it's busy and you can go to the markets and the shopping and, be along the beach, and then go to Diamond Head and go hiking. So it's amazing destination, Oahu, just in itself as an island.
Absolutely. And I used to live on Oahu for several years and I had so much fun there. It's just a great place, especially for the dining. A lot of great cuisine here as well. So great, a lot of great things to do. And so, as I quickly mentioned, Waikiki is that resort area, right? We've got a lot of wonderful hotels and resorts along this area, but it's also a really fun place for ocean activities, for shopping, dining, nightlife. We have it all right here in Waikiki. And in fact, Waikiki is a great place to learn how to surf. We've got some great surf instructors here. This is actually kind of where our ali'i, or our royalty, used to play. Kind of was like a playground for them back in the day. And they would have, surfing here. Duke Kahanamoku, who kind of put surfing on the map, we used to be a Waikiki beach boy and would surf here as well. So there's some great history in Waikiki, but generally a really fun place to stay and to do a lot of fun activities as well. And
not to miss is the outrigger canoe rides.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So you can do an outrigger canoe ride. There are also some catamaran sails as well. A lot of fun things to do here in Waikiki.
Definitely.
And as you can see in the background, we have the iconic Diamond Head. The Hawaiian name is Le'ahi, which actually doesn't translate to Diamond Head. It translates to, I think it was like the bill of tuna, the tuna fish,
okay.
Like a tuna fish popping out of the water almost. But there's a great hike that you can do. There is an admission fee for Diamond Head because it is a very popular attraction, but it's a really great way to get out there, go for a nice day hike, and really take in the views of Waikiki, and then over on the east side of the island too.
Great.
And certainly Pearl Harbor Pacific Historic Parks is a top attraction on the island of Oahu. For many US travelers, this is a can't miss opportunity. The parks itself has a number of great things to check out. Of course, the most popular being the USS Arizona Memorial. So you do need a ticket in advance to do the USS Arizona Memorial. It is a ferry ride to go out there. So you can book those at recreation.gov, or if you talk to Darby, I'm sure she can help to arrange a tour for you. Especially, that includes transportation, for instance, and also takes you to various other parts of the park. We do also have the Battleship Missouri Memorial here, the USS Beaufort Museum, which recently underwent a huge renovation. So there's really a lot of things to do and see in that museum now as well. In addition, we have the Pacific Aviation Museum and the Visitor Center. So a lot of great things. I would definitely recommend spending a few hours here at Pearl Harbor Pacific Historic Parks, and to, of course, make that reservation in advance for the USS Arizona Memorial.
They do sell out, so you have to make sure you get your ticket ahead of time.
Right. So I think, just a little bit of advanced planning, picking which day you're going to be out there, go on the website, find out what's available, what time you can do it, and then, go and experience it. Another thing I will also mention as a quick tip is that there are no bags allowed at Pearl Harbor. So especially women, you want to carry, like a small, teeny tiny purse, basically, because pretty much anything more than like a pocketbook they will not allow into the park. And then Iolani Palace. So for Hawaiian history and culture, Iolani Palace and Bishop Museum, I believe, are two must-see attractions. Iolani Palace is one of 3 royal palaces in Hawaii, and it's an excellent place to learn more about the history of Hawaii's monarchy, of the overthrow of the Hawaiian monarchy, as well as of our ali'i, especially King Kalakaua, who commissioned Iolani Palace, and Queen Liliuokalani, who was our last reigning queen and monarch, and who was imprisoned in this palace. So you can actually do a docent-led tour or an audio guide tour of Iolani Palace, but I find it so fascinating. One fun fact I love to tell everybody is that Iolani Palace actually had electricity before the White House and Buckingham Palace. Did you know that, Darby?
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. King Kalakaua was a visionary, and he just really was at the forefront of his generation, I believe. All right, and then there's also Bishop Museum, which is Hawaii's premier natural and cultural history museum. Again, a can't miss attraction, in my opinion, especially if you are interested in learning more about Hawaii's culture. There are 3 floors, I believe, and each floor is so unique, and there's so much to learn right here at Bishop Museum, and it is just a gorgeous museum overall.
Amazing.
And as we've been mentioning a little bit, there's also the North Shore of the island of Oahu, and this side of the island definitely has a much more laid-back country ambiance. It's also got the historic surf town of Haleiwa. This is where we've got our big surf competitions in the winter months. So if you've ever, seen those big wave surfing competitions, maybe on TV, this is where they mostly take place. So especially if you're traveling in the winter, you can go and be a spectator and watch the pro surfers out there. Of course, I wouldn't recommend trying to surf on your own unless you are very experienced during this time. But at other times of the year, or when the waves aren't, too crazy, you can definitely go out and surf here on the North Shore. In addition, the North Shore has a great food scene as well. We've got some great food trucks. And one of the things I highly recommend is going to get a plate of garlic shrimp at those garlic shrimp trucks, or a shave ice at Matsumoto Shave Ice, for instance. We've got some local mom and pop shops and restaurants out here that I think are really great. So if you have an opportunity to do a North Shore day or to spend a little bit of time out there, highly recommend it. Another tip is to go out here maybe during the week, because it does get really crowded and popular over the weekends, especially.
The one thing that you mentioned with the oceans, the one thing I try to remind clients is you really need to heed the warnings of the signs at all of the beaches on all of the islands. Absolutely. They're there for reasons. Some of the beaches are really not swimmable, and you can get injured if you just decide you want to go out into them. But Hawaii is very good to have these listings of all the beaches that are swimmable, the best ones for families with little kids that have the pools, and the ones just if it has a sign that says no swimming or a red flag, you want to heed those warnings. So
definitely. And, I'm sure, as you all know, ocean conditions can change daily, can change multiple times a day. So certainly, listen to the lifeguards, at hotels, perhaps if there's like a beach at the hotel you're staying at, they will let you know if that day might not be a really good day for ocean activities, for instance. But that's okay, because the beauty of the island is that you can go to another beach on a different part of the island, and there are totally different conditions.
There's plenty of beaches to go check out.
Absolutely. And while you're on the North Shore, I'd highly recommend taking a visit to the Polynesian Cultural Center. This is over on the northeast side of the island in Lahaina. And the Polynesian Cultural Center is one of the largest paid attractions in the Hawaiian Islands. It's a really great place to learn more, not only about Hawaii, but all of Polynesia and various Polynesian cultures. They do feature, I believe, 7 Pacific Island villages here. So they've got, not only Hawaii, but also Tahiti, Fiji, Samoa, Aotearoa or New Zealand. So you can learn all about these various cultures. And they do have some great entertainment as well, including, their Polynesian luau, or their, AHA Breath of Life Fire Knife Dancing show. So a lot of great things to do here, but keep in mind that the Polynesian Cultural Center is closed on Sundays. So another reason perhaps to go to the North Shore on the weekdays.
Right.
And then now we're going to move on to the island of Maui. And after Maui, I will also cover Maui's two sister islands, Molokai and Lanai, which are smaller, less visited islands, but I do want to briefly talk about them as well. So with the island of Maui, this island is laid back, leisurely, great for social interaction. It's friendly, not contrived, and great for discovery in those charming small towns. So this is a really popular island, especially for US travelers. So if you are interested in variety, choice, spontaneous adventures, if you want to enjoy nature in a more passive way, like laying on the beach or meeting local artisans, this could be a great island for you. And especially if you kind of want to just go with the flow on your vacation, Maui has a lot of great things that you can just go and discover and explore on your own time.
Right.
Okay, so some of the top attractions on Maui. First off, Haleakala Crater and Haleakala National Park. Haleakala is a dormant volcano that stands at over 10,000 feet in elevation. And it literally translates to house of the sun. So this is a very popular place to go and see the sunrise. Now, if you are going to do a sunrise tour, there are many tours, excursions available, or you can drive up on your own, but you do have to reserve a parking spot in advance to go and see the sunrise at the summit. You're gonna have to wake up pretty early, about 2 in the morning,
Yep.
and then drive out there all the way up to the top. And then you wait for the sunrise. And it is extremely gorgeous and just so worth the early wake up call. But it is something to consider. And then, of course, after the sun rises, Haleakala isn't going anywhere. So you can certainly go and experience it at other times of the day as well. There is some good hiking that you can do at Haleakala. There are different places that you can go and stop and visit. So certainly, especially if you like to hike, that could be something that you may want to go and experience.
And the sunset tours are very popular too, for someone that doesn't want to get up that early in the morning, especially if you have kids.
Definitely.
The sunset tour and stargazing too, correct?
Yes, yeah, those are also great to recommend as well, or to go and experience. And personally, I don't like waking up that early, so that's something that I would opt for. But I've done this during the day before because I love hiking, so it's really cool to go and do that. But keep in mind, like I said, it's a 10,000 foot elevation at the summit. So for one, it gets a little chillier up there. I know, 40 to 50 degrees is nothing for you folks, especially in the winter time, but it is chilly. So make sure you bring your jacket or parka. And then also for young children, that elevation could be a lot more difficult on them. So just keep that in mind. All right, another top attraction on the island of Maui is the Road to Hana, or the Hana Highway. Now, this is a classic experience. It is a 52-mile journey that takes about 3 to 4 hours one way. And the reason it takes that long is because you've got over 600 hairpin turns, 50 one-lane bridges. Along the way, you're seeing, beautiful coastline, waterfalls, fruit stands, to stop at, things like that. So it really is more about the journey than the destination. Although in Hana itself, it's a very charming town. You have a black sand beach there as part of Wainapa State Park. And by the way, if you are looking to go to the black sand beach, you do need to make an advance reservation at Wainapa State Park. Or if you do a guided tour, sometimes those are included as well. And I would highly recommend to do a tour or excursion. For one, there's always one person disadvantaged with the Road to Hana, and that's the driver who has to focus on the road at all times, right? While everyone's oohing and eyeing. And sometimes it can also be a little difficult to do all those turns. So sometimes a nice, comfortable tour makes it so much easier. And there are some really unique excursions out there as well. such as the Skytrek Hana with Temptation tours that will actually take you on a 7-passenger vehicle on the way to Hana. And then once you arrive in Hana, you can actually take a helicopter back and rim Haleakala before you return, or do vice versa, the helicopter first, then the road to Hana. Or you can even do Rappel Maui, where you can rappel off some of those waterfalls. So some really unique ways of experiencing one of the same top attractions that have been around for a long time. Darby, have you done the road to Hana before?
No, but this summer we are, and
Excellent.
looking at all the options, you can go, we're looking at going all the way around.
Okay.
Instead of just
Long
kind of
day.
going up
Just
one
keep that in
way
mind.
and down the other. I know. As we talk about the Skytrek, I'm like, maybe I want to do.
And I believe you need a 4-wheel drive if you want to do it all the way around.
We're
So
gonna
just
do it
some
with a
things to
tour.
think about,
Definitely
right?
with a tour, because I want to experience it. And I think, Hawaii as a destination, the locals are many times, they're the guides. They live there, they grew up there, they know the history. You'll be driving by something, they know what it is. You won't know what that is unless you look it up in the guidebook, and the driver's not going to be looking the stuff up in the guidebook. So I think guides, on any of the islands are wonderful, because they'll tell you the stories, they'll tell you the history.
Absolutely. And especially on a long drive like this, it's really great to have, that guide to, take you along. And the other thing, I'm glad you mentioned that, the locals live here, right? Because locals do live in Hana, and they do drive there, every day. And so, especially if you are driving on your own, we do ask that you be very courteous and respectful of the locals who are driving, let them pass if you are able to. Don't stop in random places along the road, things like that, along the road to Hana. Yeah. All right, and then we also have historic Lahaina town as well, an historic Front Street. This is a really great place to just go and experience some of the art galleries, shops, restaurants, a lot of mom and pop shops here, really gorgeous views of the water. We've got a lot of boat tours that depart from Lahaina. And it's a really good place to go, especially just walking around during the day, or maybe for a bite to eat in the evening. We have the Old Lahaina Luau here as well. So a lot of good things to do and check out. There's also a museum at Banyan Court as well, with amazing banyan trees right here in historic Lahaina town.
Beautiful.
And then off the coast of West Maui, we have a little islet called Molokini Crater. So this is actually an excellent place for snorkeling. And we do have a number of great snorkel tours that depart early in the morning and go out there. And so you can go do some snorkeling or some diving experiences out at Molokini Crater. It could certainly be a fun excursion, especially for the family, and a really great place to see marine life.
Nice.
And then, of course, whale watching. So our humpback whales come to visit all the Hawaiian Islands during whale watch season, which is typically December through April. But they really love the channels between Maui and its sister islands. So especially if you are on the island of Maui during this time, whale watching is almost guaranteed. You can, go out to certain spots and go see the whales, or there are a number of great whale watching excursions, or depending, where you're staying. If you're staying on the west side of Maui, for instance, or the southwest side of Maui, maybe from your room, if you've got an oceanfront room, you can even spot some whales.
Right.
And then along the slopes of Haleakala, we have Upcountry Maui. And this just has some really charming small towns, farms, ranches, vineyards. You've got places like the Ali'ikula Lavender Farm, Surf and Go Dairy, Kula Country Farms or O'o Farms. So really nice farm to table experiences. Maybe go grab a bite to eat, or just experience some of these farm stands, etc. Okay, so as I mentioned, I briefly want to talk about Molokai and Lanai, and then we have one more island to experience. So Molokai and Lanai are two sister islands of Maui, and they're, they're much more rural islands for one. So they're great places to go and unplug. But the way that you would unplug are very different depending on which island you go to. So these are more sometimes, secondary islands to our 4 major islands, especially if this is a repeat trip for you. These could be good islands to consider, or if you're really looking to go and unplug. So the first island is the island of Molokai. And this island is rustic, rugged, unspoiled, natural. It's kind of a window to Hawaii's past. It's all about community and the simpler life here. So if you are a respectful, responsible traveler who really wants to experience that simpler way of life and engage with Hawaii's local culture and local communities, this could be a really good island to go and experience. And it is very reminiscent of that old style of Hawaii, right?
Right. Kind of like going back in time a little bit.
Exactly. And so this is not necessarily going to be, your resort experience, your hotel experience. There is one hotel on the island, a beautiful hotel, but it is much more about engaging with the culture, as I mentioned. Now, if you are looking for that kind of high-end resort experience, maybe Lanai would actually be a better island for you. So Lanai, also very rural, but it's also very serene, secluded, refined, kind of luxurious. But at the same time, we've got room for soft adventure as well. So this island, especially if you're looking for that kind of serenity and luxury, almost a private island experience, this could be a really good island for you. We've also have miles of backcountry roads for some soft adventure activities like ATV rides, horseback riding. You've got the beautiful Hulupo'e Bay as well, which is excellent for snorkeling and other ocean activities. And you also have a few Hawaiian historic sites here as well. Have you sent some clients?
Alex, can you talk a little bit about if you wanted to go for a day trip from Maui to Lanai?
Absolutely, that's a great point. So for all the islands, you do have to take a plane to get between the islands, right? But actually between Maui and Lanai, we have the only ferry service that is operating within the state. So it's about a 45-minute ferry ride to go one way between Maui and Lanai, and it's offered by Expeditions. And this is a really great option if you wanted to do a day trip to Lanai, to just take that ferry over in the morning, maybe do some ocean activities. There are some, you can rent a Jeep, for instance, or do a guided tour of the island, which is a really great way to experience some of the sites there. There's also trilogy excursions, which will take you on a catamaran sail from Maui to Lanai for a nice day of ocean activities. And I believe they feed you lunch as well. So some really good day trip options if you're not staying on the island of Lanai.
Right, definitely. Thank you.
Sure, awesome. And then finally, last but not least, certainly, we have the island of Hawaii, also nicknamed the Big Island. So we've saved the biggest for last.
Right.
And this is also the youngest of the islands, and in fact, still growing, as we do have active volcanoes here on the island of Hawaii. But here's a shot of ziplining along the northeastern side on the Hamakua coast. All right, so the island of Hawaii is all about living culture. It is great for active exploration and extremely great for ecological diversity. It holds 10 out of the Earth's 14 climate zones. So you're really going to get a variety of microclimates. You've got those saturated blues, greens, blacks. It really feels boundless. And as I mentioned, is home to our active volcanoes. So if you are looking for that active glow of the lava, this is the island you're going to go to be able to experience that.
Right.
And overall, if you are active, adventurous, you've got an insatiable curiosity, the island of Hawaii will be perfect for you, especially if you're looking for unique and unusual adventures that you can't get elsewhere. This is additionally a great island for history and culture lovers and those who are looking for natural wonders, and those who don't mind taking trips within their vacation. Keep in mind, the island of Hawaii is much bigger than the rest of the islands, right? That's why we nickname it the Big Island. And it's about the same size as the state of Connecticut, over 4,000 square miles. So in order to really experience the beauty of the whole island, I highly recommend renting a car or doing various trips within your vacation. A trip to the one side of from one side of the island to the other, a trip to Volcanoes National Park, etc.
Right.
All right, now speaking of Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, this is the top attraction on the island. And like I mentioned, if you're looking for that glow of the lava, this is where you're going to go to. It is located on the southeast side of the island, and it's a really big park. There are over 150 miles of hiking trails that you can experience here. Once you go in, you can go to the visitor center to kind of plan your day, especially if you want to do some hiking, or if you want to go, directly to go see the lava. Right now, we do have a new eruption that started in September of 2021. So when you go out there, you can talk to the rangers about where exactly to go out to. There's a quick, I would say, no more than a mile hike into the viewing zone right now. And I would recommend going maybe in the afternoon and staying until the sun sets. One of the most amazing things that you can experience here, especially on a clear night, is stargazing. So you've got that lava that you're seeing, and then as you look up, you have the beautiful night sky, and just the depth of the stars are so, so incredible.
Sounds great.
Yes. And of course, Hawaii Volcanoes National Park is one of our 8 national historic parks that we have in the state of Hawaii, but the island of Hawaii actually carries 5 national historic parks and sites, and 4 of them are exclusively tied to the native Hawaiian culture. So especially if you are a history and culture lover, this is a great island to go and visit and to be able to experience those national historic parks. Another great place to visit would be Kealakekua Bay. And if you actually want to experience the bay, I would highly recommend doing a snorkeling cruise or excursion. It's a marine conservation area, so it's a really good place to go and snorkel. But Kealakekua Bay is actually where Captain Cook made landfall. And Captain Cook was one of the first Western contacts who visited the Hawaiian Islands and really helped to kind of shape and influence Hawaii. So Captain Cook's monument is actually here, as this is where he passed. So we've got a little bit of history, but also some great snorkeling to do here at Kealakekua Bay on the southwest side of the island of Hawaii. And another top attraction that I highly, highly recommend is swimming with manta rays. This is one of the only places in the world where you can swim with manta rays in their natural habitat. There are a number of great excursions that go out at night to do this. And nighttime is when they really come out and feed, especially on the tours. There's a little light that shines down, which attracts plankton and attracts the manta rays. So you just jump in the water, you've got your snorkeling gear on, and you just kind of float and watch the manta rays as they come up and twirl before your eyes. It's absolutely incredible.
Clients have said it was a wonderful experience, and just to see them, them in their natural habitat is amazing, really.
Totally. I've done it multiple times and I can never get over it. A lot of people I think might be afraid of jumping into the ocean, especially at night. But the tours, they're very easy. They guide you, and all you do is just hang on to a raft, and you look down, and it's just a really incredible experience.
Amazing.
Now, I'm sure you've all heard of Kona coffee. And of course, Kona is where much of our popular Kona coffee is grown. Here on the island of Hawaii. So we've got a number of great coffee farms that you can actually go and visit, do some coffee tastings. You can even roast your own coffee at some of them. But we do grow coffee across the islands and in various parts of the island of Hawaii as well. But a really great farm to table experience that you can have. And speaking of not just coffee, but the island of Hawaii especially grows so many wonderful agricultural products because of all the microclimates that we have here. So I would highly recommend visiting our farmers markets or just experiencing, our local fresh fruits and vegetables that we have grown here.
Yes, amazing.
Yes. Now, on the island of Hawaii, most of the hotels and resorts are on the west side of the island, where it's sunnier and drier for most of the year. But over on the east side of the island, we have a very lush tropical area. This side of the island gets more rainfall throughout the year, so it is a whole different landscape, really. You've got so much greenery out here, some beautiful waterfalls that you can go and experience, such as Akaka Falls State Park in Hilo. We've got the Waipio Valley overlook. a really sacred spot in Hawaii. And the farmers market, the Hilo farmers markets on Wednesdays and Saturdays is a great place to go and experience too. And as you're driving along from one side of the island to the other, I would recommend taking the north route, the Hamakua coast, to really get some gorgeous views along the way and great places to stop. So a lot of fun things to do over on the east side of the island as well. And Hilo is actually the the side of the island that I grew up on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. All right, so that was our wonderful island tour. I hope you've had a chance to experience and sort of figure out which islands or island combination you'd like to go to. And of course, Darby can set you all up with the Hawaii vacation and set up a lot of those tours and activities for you.
Yeah, there's so much to do there and see there.
Definitely.
So
we only scratch the surface too.
Right.
Yeah. Well, before I wrap up, I really want to share a really important concept with you all. The word malama, and malama is a really important value system in Hawaii. It means to take care. So to take care of not only our earth, but of each other and ourselves. And I think that's a really important reminder, especially with the past couple of years that we've been going through, just to take care and to take that extra time. And we really want to share this value system with our visitors and to encourage visitors to take care and give back to Hawaii, to make sure that Hawaii continues to remain a wonderful place to live and to visit. And so we have a number of great programs where visitors can malama Hawaii and take a trip that gives back. And so we've got these really great projects such as reforestation projects, tree planting, self-directed beach cleanups, or even Hawaiian quilting sessions. So some of these are kind of more environmentally focused, but some are culturally focused as well. And many of them actually overlap. So it's a really great way to not only give back to the destination, but to have a much more enriching vacation experience. By participating in one of these activities, you really get a chance to learn more about Hawaii's communities, about Hawaiian values, and just the way that, people in Hawaii live and see the world, right? So it's a really great experience, and we're making this deal even sweeter through our Malama Hawaii package offers. So you can actually earn a free night stay or other special discounts through participating hotels if you participate in that hotel's designated volunteer activity. So you can learn more about this at gohawaii.com/malama. Or if you just want to participate in a voluntourism opportunity, you can visit gohawaii.com/voluntourism to learn all about the organizations that offer these activities. And if you want to learn more about malama itself and how people in Hawaii malama, you can find our malama ambassadors on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/gohawaii to watch all of these really great videos talking about this word and what it means to local people.
Yeah, they're amazing videos, and the people in them just tell their story of their way of life in Hawaii and what they do to kind of give back. And I want to do the Hawaii quilting session now that I saw that.
Yeah, very
definitely.
cool. I know you were actually looking at maybe doing one or maybe more of these Malama Hawaii activities when you go to Hawaii, right? So
yes, definitely.
Yeah, I hope you do. And I hope it's a really exciting and great opportunity for you.
Yeah, I think it'll be great, to be able to share with clients and share, just giving back on a, trip that you want to have a little more laid back than the busyness. Because you could go to Hawaii and do something every hour of every day and still not see everything.
Absolutely.
So, or you can just, relax and then just plan another time to go back again.
Totally. Yeah, like we've shared, there's so much to do in Hawaii. So many ways to have just, whether it's a relaxing vacation or a much more active vacation, something for everybody.
Definitely, there is. Definitely.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you all so much for your time today, for learning about Hawaii. And if you do have any questions, of course, reach out to Darby. She's got lots of great information and she can certainly set you up with a wonderful Hawaii vacation.
Great. Mahalo, Alex. Thank you very much. This was wonderful
Mahalo.
information, and I can't wait to share with my clients, and we'll send more people to Hawaii. But thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you so much. Mahalo.
Mahalo.